of careers afford you. Besides that, I can do my job from anywhere. It doesn't necessarily have to be behind a desk. I could be on a beach in Tahiti as long as I have internet access. So that's those are some of the things that I think are great, and it's something that's always new. It's not a career which is like staunchly defined. It's always kind of changing, and because of that, it's always something new. So that's one of the reasons why I do web design and development.
Okay, so choosing the field of journalism for me was very natural, and that's because it spoke to what I did well. And my advice to you is to first consider, what are my strengths? What are the things that I like to do? What are the things that I do well? I like to write. I like to talk. I love history. I love politics. So it just fit. When I was in my sophomore year, I thought about, I have, in just 2 years, I'll be graduating, and I have some choices to make. And I don't want to be left behind with everybody else who's pursuing their careers and they're really fulfilled in what they do. I didn't want to be one of the stragglers who felt like, there's no purpose. So I thought, with all these strengths and all these skills that I have, how can I leverage that into a true career? Because there is a difference, right? There's a job. That's the thing that you do just to make money. And then there's your career. And your career is something that you're passionate about. And whatever you're passionate about, hear this. Whatever you're passionate about, don't consider off the break, how much am I going to get paid? Because, in many cases, like in journalism, you start out, you're not going to make a lot of money. But whatever you're passionate about, you'll be good at. And if you're good at, you'll be successful. So I was able to use my talents and my gifts in the field of journalism, and it was very rewarding. One of the best experiences I had, because I was able to write. I was able to cover, history in the making. I was able to interview some of the biggest local celebrities in this area, and it was something that I woke up every day and was excited to do, even if it was a long work day, because in this field you can work 15 hours, you can work 12 hours or more, and if you love to do it, then you will be good at it and you will bear it. So that's how I chose journalism.
The road to entrepreneurship certainly wasn't, a clear one. I mean, looking back at, the beginnings of undergrad, I kind of had a sense that I wanted to start a business, but I was really of the school of thought that, you work for a certain amount of years, right? You save a certain amount of money, and then at a magical, opportune moment, right, you decide to kind of go into business for yourself. As my brother spoke to early on, technology is completely changing that. The barrier for entry is considerably low. And your ability to reach a global audience is unprecedented in the world of technology. The turning point for me, I guess, to start Helix and to really sort of focus my energy on the hairstylists and barbers is my time at Living Social. Washington, D.C.-based tech company, you all may be familiar with them, an online couponing company. And 70% of that business was sort of hair, skin, and nails. And so here I am, cold calling, hair salons in Atlanta, Georgia, and talking to them about their marketing and their advertising needs. And you're really sort of seeing firsthand how such a massive community that's so relevant to us all sort of has this immediate need. And I kind of got to thinking to myself, there's got to be a better way to sort of serve this audience than a 50% discount and mass email, right? These are business owners that have real challenges, and they're vital to us all. And then on the flip side, having friends throughout the country, young professionals, it's one of the first things that they complain about, right, when moving to a new city. Where am I going to get my hair cut? Where am I going to get my hair done? And so just sort of putting two and two together, you see sort of an opportunity there, right? Hairstylists and barbers are looking to market themselves, advertise, grow their business, and then individuals, everyday people, as well as even musicians and celebrities have a constant need of sort of maintaining their image and finding someone reliable to deliver on their hairstyle needs. So that's kind of what led me there.
So as I mentioned, I'm an attorney, and I've really wanted to be one ever since I was kind of maybe like 9 or 10. I knew I wasn't good at math, and I knew I did like reading. I liked debate. I liked analyzation. I liked that kind of thing. So, like Adam was saying, kind of, speaking to your strengths. So I kind of was fortunate. I went to college knowing, okay, I want to be an attorney. So I kind of shaped what I was going to do around that goal. So when I graduated, passed the Maryland bar. I worked in family law and criminal law for a little bit. Then I decided I wanted to transition to something different. So through networking, I was able to get a job in my current position, doing corporate law and, like I said, lobbying as well, which I just started and I enjoy.
Okay, for me, the road to law was not crystal clear. There was a lot of trial and error. I went to college and majored in something I enjoyed. I majored in American Studies. And then when I graduated, I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And at that point, I did the right thing for me at the time, but ultimately the wrong thing. I got a job and not a career, and I worked in insurance, and I also hated it. But it was really important what was said earlier, is that you need to focus on your strengths, focus on what you're strong in. I knew I was good at, I could read well, I could write, I loved problem solving, I loved a good debate, so I figured law school would be the perfect place for me to go. And then when I got into law school, the opportunities that my school had afforded me the opportunity to become a student attorney and get into our criminal clinic, which made me see that I loved criminal law. So when I got out of school, through the power of networking, I was able to get my first job with the DC government at a criminal agency. And I loved it there, and I got a lot of really good experience, but it was more policy-oriented, which is more drafting laws and seeing laws work, and I really enjoy litigating over drafting laws. So then I took a career at a corporate law firm, and it's completely different from going from criminal law to representing major corporations, but I really still enjoy it, and one day I'll probably get back into the criminal field, but I'm happy where I am right now.
Okay, I chose the military primarily because I like the leadership aspects of it all. I like the fact that I was a part of a team, and no matter how big or how small, I meant something. I like that I was doing a service to others and helping my country, and just I like everything that it had to offer with the travel opportunities, meeting different people, experiencing different things. I like that the potential in it was almost limitless.
So I'll just add why I chose my career. So when I graduated from Howard, I was in debt, and I was $50,000 in debt. And so I'm still paying these student loans today. So when I was a student, I chose my major because I needed to pay back these student loans, right? When you go to an HBCU, if your family is not wealthy, if you have to take out loans, then you're going to owe that money once you get out of school. So my choice was to go ahead and find something that will allow me to make money, but then do things on the side that made me whole, right? So I have this mentorship program. I do things that I do for volunteer activities, and those things will help to bridge that gap if you do have to choose a career that will allow you to create a steady income, but you still want to do something that fulfills your passion. So with that being said, does any of the other panelists have anything else to add before I take questions? Okay, so we will start with questions. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what you just said leads into my question. A lot as a parent, I have white counterparts who are, wealthy. They have wealthy families, or they're attorneys, and that kind of thing. And they're encouraging their children to go to school just to get to know themselves, to think better, and the idea. Whereas traditionally, we've told our children, go find a job, get something, skills that are going to help you get a job when you get out. What do you think of now that you're in your career path? What do you think about that?
So I will let the panelists answer since I'm only the moderator, and then I'll swing around and add my 2 cents.
I don't think college is a place to get to know yourself unless you have wealthy parents. I think it's easy to say, we have wealthy parents who can fall back and move back home, but I think for more middle class and lower class people, college has to be practical. And that extends really to your major. Some majors require you to get a graduate degree, some others. Some majors, you need to look at what are the starting salary for this major. So I think college should be more a practical experience. And do something that you love. You can, find the bridge, the gap between your passion and the practical. But I think, at least for our community, it's a different mindset.
So I guess sort of briefly add to that. I think it should be a balance between both pragmatism and passion. To the point that you made about other communities, I think the most powerful skill set is the ability, learning to learn. I think there's something to be said for learning to learn. I think there's something to be said for being truly introspective, right, and having a strong sense of self. I guess in juxtaposing my experiences at University of Maryland College Park versus Howard, I think one of the things that I envied about my friends that went the HBCU route for 4 years is that introspection, right? That sense of community, that sense of sort of history, that sense of sort of where we've come from, mission. I think that's very, very powerful and very, very relevant. And if you can sort of marry that sense of self and that sense of community with what you're doing, then I think you win all the way through.
I actually am probably on the opposite side of the spectrum. My parents are not wealthy, but I chose to go to a very expensive HBCU, probably one of the most expensive, racked up a ton of debt, and I would not change the experience for anything in the world. When I chose my major, it was because my parents were saying, you need to do something more practical. You need to get a job that is going to make you money. You need to have a salary that's going to pay off your student loans. You need to do this, that, and the other. And having been through that and gone through the steps that I did and gone to a field where I thought I was going to make money, I mean, you can't put a price tag on happiness. So yes, most African American parents and your mentors and stuff are going to tell you, yes, you need to pick a career that's going to make you money, and I think probably 90% of people on this panel will tell you that. However, I think that you have to make sure that when you're building a career and you're choosing a major, that you need to make sure that it's something that you can see yourself doing for a long time. So retirement is usually, 30 years from now? So you have to think, for the next 30 years, I'm going to be working every day doing this, that, and the other. So whether or not you choose to go into law and you're a lawyer, or you choose to be an entrepreneur, I think you have to make a decision based on what makes you happy and what you feel passionate about. So yes, money, you have to be money conscious. I mean, I'm not going to say not to and not take note of that, but my parents were definitely very encouraging and always have been, and let me make a decision to come to Howard regardless of how much it cost. I didn't get any scholarships, and I got scholarships to 5 other schools, and I turned them down because I wanted to go to Howard. And then I went to School of Business, where every day or twice a week they're having you dress in a suit. They're making you go to these different basically meet with different corporations. You're on a team that is, they're pushing you to go to corporate America, and they're setting you up. And I probably could have gone to Wall Street and worked there, but I didn't want to. So just keep that in mind for all the parents. Like, make sure that you're talking to your kids about what they want to do. Make sure you're listening to them, and you're hearing what they want to do and where their passions lie, and find that happy medium, and hopefully it will pay off in the end. I'm in a career where I'm probably not going to be making 6 figures, anytime soon, but I love what I do, and that paycheck, I make it work. So.
More questions?
Well, I wanted to say a little bit on that. I think historically HBCUs have been kind of in place to lead us into a career, where at least some of the other more elite PWIs are to create careers, right? So you go to those schools and they try to give you the mindset of, all right, you've made it through this program. What are you going to do? Is your goal to actually become just, get another job, get it into whatever career you're going to go in? Or are you going to start building something to create jobs for other people? When you choose your HBCU, understand that when you leave, you're faced with those kind of 2 choices, right? And I almost feel like, as black people as a whole, that we need to start looking at the PWI approach of creating new jobs. So being an entrepreneur is great, right? Because he's going to be creating jobs locally for other people who maybe didn't go to a university, and now they can benefit from that. So that's part of the talent of the 10th mentality as well. So I almost feel as if we need to start pushing kind of in that direction. It's not for everyone. That, they say there's different levels to this, So I know you're like, yeah, that's not.
Who said that? George Washington? No.
No. Yes. Okay. Just quoting rappers.
Yeah.
One more thing. When you leave school and you get in your career and you get your job and it's something you are passionate about, sometimes that passion doesn't equate to the lifestyle you want to live. It could be something where you love the job you're in, but you're only making $37,000 a year or something like that, and you want to go out to the clubs, you want to go on vacations, you want to do that, and that doesn't necessarily lead to that type of lifestyle. So then you have to make a decision whether what you're passionate about is worth it, right? Do you want to sacrifice, what part of life do you want to live? Do you want to live the job life, or do you want to live the life? Whether that equates to when you have family and kids and stuff like that, being able to provide certain things for them to actually, rise higher than you did, is another consideration. It's hard to get yourself in that mindset while you're in school, but it's something that you may want to take a look at, especially towards your latter years there.
We have and I'm sorry I stepped out for a moment. We have a follow-up question. We're going to go to you.
Well, no, I'm going to have a question after you go first.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, ma'am.
My question is for the lawyers. What was special about your law school that you were like, I want to go there, and how did that lead into your later years going into the profession?
For me, I wanted an opportunity to live somewhere that I probably wouldn't have lived otherwise. So when I got into Tulane, I was like, oh, okay, well, when can I ever live in New Orleans again in life? Like, it's a great place to go on vacation and have, party and do all that stuff, but I kind of wanted to go and just see what it was like, because I knew that wouldn't be an opportunity I would necessarily have otherwise. And it's a good school as well, so it wasn't like I was making any sacrifices by moving to New Orleans to go to school. And then once I got there, New Orleans just has a really unique community of individuals. And so when I got there, I wanted to get involved in the community. And by getting into a criminal clinic, it gave me first-hand experience with the citizens of New Orleans and the community, and working with the youth and people who were my own age and people who were older than me. So it really connected me to the people of New Orleans. I didn't want to just go to school in the city. I wanted to kind of be a part of whatever community I was in. And then that led to my career, because I really did enjoy my criminal work while I was there. So I carried that back when I came back to DC. I carried that back with me, and that started my first career out of law school, my first job out of law school. And then I chose to go the corporate route because I wanted to litigate more, and what I was doing wasn't litigation. I wanted to kind of get an opportunity to get my foot into the courtroom a little bit more. It's different at a big law firm. Usually the partners do big litigation, but it gave me an opportunity to get more courtroom skills, which is what I wanted.
For me, it was kind of a similar situation. For one, I lived in Maryland my entire life, so I was like, I have this opportunity to live somewhere else. I definitely think everybody, regardless of where you're from, should live somewhere else for at least a year, just so you can see what it's like and get out of your comfort zone. So, like I said, I went to Emory in Atlanta. I was like, Atlanta's a great city. I was like, I'm not going to be in school 24 hours, so I need, what is there going to be like as far as personal life? So that was a poor portion. I went on the practical. Emory was a good school. I saw that a lot of their graduates passed the bar afterwards. Looked at the bar pass rate. I looked at average starting salary. Like most graduates make this when they graduate. So I thought about that. And as far as how that led to my career, we had clinics and internships. So I interned with the public defender's office. I've also interned with a service called Georgia Legal Services, where they did like family for low income population. So like divorces, your wills, and stuff like that. So that's one good thing about law school. Everything you're interested in, there's something for you. So if you like the corporate and environmental, there's an opportunity for you to experience that. So.
You have a follow-up question, sir?
Yes. So first of all, thank all you guys for this. But from two people with entrepreneurship and technology backgrounds, when you guys think about African Americans in the technology field, how do you feel like you guys are kind of taking a step in that direction to make it accessible to others, to make it seem like there's a pathway for that? And then when you look at how technology, we have the Zuckerbergs that have created these applications, which I think are really simplistic in terms of the concept, but the technology behind it. What do you think is necessary for the youth to be able to start to create some of these things at a younger age to know that it's possible?
Yeah, no, fantastic question, and I think it's definitely something that's at the forefront of the minds of, I guess, minorities in tech more generally. There's a gentleman by the name of Tristan Walker, who's effectively become like the face for sort of like minorities in tech. Nas recently backed his investment, and essentially he is a big proponent of really, at the high school level, getting minorities to really think about computer science. I mean, looking back on Springbrook High School, which is the high school that a few of us here went to, they pushed C++ and HTML on us fairly early. Looking back on it, I really wish I took advantage of a lot of those opportunities. I think regardless of your career path, I think it makes sense to at least become somewhat conversant, right, of computer languages, because it's changing our world. And also there's a ton of accelerators and different programs that are designed to really draw talent, right, at the college level into the tech space. There's a big conversation around a gentleman named Steve Stout. He's sort of like a hip-hop executive. He's in the same room with, Andreessen Horowitz and a lot of the guys that are funding, these multi-billion-dollar organizations. And the conversation they're having is really sort of looking at our culture. They're sort of looking at sort of, challenges within our community and figuring out how to sort of build technology around that to solve our problems. And the issue with that is that we should be sort of in that room, and we should be sort of developing those skills so that we can use technology to solve our immediate needs. So there's a lot of initiatives, both in the San Francisco Bay Area as well as New York, to really sort of get minorities involved in the tech space.
So one of the reasons, that's actually exactly the reason why I started StarTag, which is a program that's aimed at high school students to teach them web design and web development, because there is, our representation in the field is so low, and there's lots of money out there for us. It's to me, it's the difference between growing up with the Cosby Show and growing up with Real Housewives of Atlanta, right? Because you have a certain image that you can emulate, that you can see, where it could be, right? Which you need in order to grow in the field. When growing up, we see lawyers, we see doctors, we see, people, maybe accountants or something like that. But you never see a tech person, right? One of the reasons why Steve Jobs got into the field is because he grew up around HP when it was booming, right? When he first got his government contracts and it started to, draw people into Serpentino or wherever in California it actually was, right? So just putting a face to it, as he alluded to Tristan, and also just giving them examples and giving them a guide to a certain degree as to how to kind of get into the field and grow in it.
All right, we're actually going to wrap it up shortly. We have one question. We're going to have one panelist address your question, and then we're going to go to our final wrap-up.
With the scarcity of African-American male teachers, what would you say would be an individual, a teacher that had the most, impact on your decision to do what you do today?
I'll speak on it because actually I'm in the Army Reserves. On the flip side, I'm preparing to start teaching in the fall. I just had a final interview with Teach for America, so I'm preparing to begin teaching in the fall. For me, in third grade, my teacher passed away. Her name was Miss Ray. Older lady, she passed away. Our long-term sub was a gentleman by the name of Mr. Thomas. He's a young guy. I think at the time he was 24, 25. He's a graduate of Morehouse. For me, it was the example that he led. He was a young African American guy, teaching, educating. He wasn't a celebrity, but he was impacting people on what some people would think is a small scale. But he was inspiring us to be better just by being there, just by being an African American male who wasn't pushing drug dealing or who wasn't, I guess, pushing these negative stereotypes. He was a positive male. He was a musician. He was in a band. And I guess for me, it was just a simple example that he lived by that kind of inspired me.
All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go to our final question to our panelists. We're going to cap it at 30 seconds. And again, thank you all for coming out and being a part of this panel today. We also want to plug that immediately following this panel, we're going to go through, not 411, but how to pay for college, which is important. I know a lot of parents are like, yes, how is this going to work? And we have a great presenter, Brother Isaiah, who's going to go through those steps. So please sit still. There's a lot of great information here for you, and that's going to follow this panel immediately. So we're going to start on our left, 30 seconds, just some last minute thoughts, any suggestions for these students as well as the parents.
So my biggest takeaway and to share with you all is that you need to get an internship. During the summer, during the school year, whatever it is, get an internship and get multiple ones so you can start experiencing what it's like in this field or this career that you want to do to make sure it's what you want and where you want to go. So I encourage you all. There's plenty of internships, paid internships, unpaid internships that are available throughout the year. Just make sure that you get one.
I said this in the previous panel and I'll say it again. I don't care what your major ends up being, what field you end up going into, whether it's being a doctor, being a lawyer, being a tech person, it doesn't really matter. When you get into school, do me a favor and take one finance or accounting course. Understand how money works. Whatever field you go into is going to become a huge part of it. And even in your general life, it's going to be a huge part of it. Matter of fact, do it now. There's free programs online, Khan Academy. It has introductory accounting and finance courses, just giving you a basic outline on how to manage your money, and that's going to lead you into your job, because every company needs to know how to manage its own money. So it gives you a leg up of understanding what that company is doing, why they're doing it, because it's mostly money based. Okay.
Okay, quickly I'm going to share two things with you. First thing is what I mentioned in the last session that we had. There are 3 keys to success with whatever career you decide to choose. You need to have a strategy, you need to have a plan, and you need to have a process. Your strategy is identifying what is it that I want to do. Your plan is how am I going to do what I want to do. And your process are the steps that you're going to take to accomplishing it. You will go very far if you remember those 3 keys to success. And then secondly, it's time to quit mediocrity. There's too much of that going on, and we already have so many struggles, especially black men in society, in corporate America, wherever. We have to be that much better. So whatever you do, make sure you do it well. I don't care if it is mopping the floor. If you're going to mop the floor, you be the best floor mopper there is, because whatever you do well, people are noticing it, and you never know what opportunities that can lead to. I am a living witness. I'm not the brightest person in the world. I don't know everything, but whatever I do with passion, and it has served me